There's an easy explanation. If a song, composition if it actually is being fueled by drugs, if that's actually the reality, or it's not happening. Yeah, exactly. Competition is not happening. Yeah, what is that? There's another thing. There's another thing that's similar. Yeah, it's called a mechanical monkey clanging cymbals. What was Einstein actually trying to accomplish, or what were the type of problems his team was trying to actually solve? You have this problem. If one sets fire to a thing of wood, eventually the wood is consumed, and then there can not be any more fire from that wood. It is a general principle that there is one process in reality which converts a complex material to a simpler material, or actually that's not true. When it does, it breaks it apart. Fire does not actually consume wood. What it does is it separates wood into gaseous oxygen and a simpler form of carbon known as, ash. Into a larger problem when you deal with the fact that more heat is produced. Yeah, it's a problem. More heat is produced than is put in. I'm going to simply say that's not a problem for humans to worry about. Okay? That's not a human understanding problem. Here is why. Before you're ready to deal with that problem, you must first master the problem of existence. You must first decide that things have a continuity of existence based on observation. The problem these nuclear teams ran into in the years following World War II was the fact that they did not have a solid understanding of existence. They were not 100% sure that, for example, that if I do not disturb this, 10 seconds later, it's please. Because they didn't want to allow, this to be a part of the experiment. Why? See, for whatever reason, they didn't want the application of intelligence to occur. They didn't want to account for the fact that there was a smarts that could affect that experiment. That, of course, is highly incorrect. The correct thing to say is, this stays here if it's not disturbed. Not disturbed meaning there is no human in the room. There was another problem, however, that the experiment now looks like this. Okay, that is known as stupid. And for whatever reason, the scientists didn't want to give the full explanation, which is so long as the human and the observer are distant. The object is not disturbed so long as forces with enough power to disturb the object are distant from the object. Not non-existent. Distant. The more distant I am away from that, the less likely I am to have the ability to disturb it. There's a similar qualm for size. There is this larger problem, therefore, that they were unprepared to handle. It was this one. Is there enough gravity in the far reaches of space to keep the universe a cohesive whole forever? There was a big problem with that. All these scientists also said we will die. Not might die, but will die. Being absolute also mean that they probably were running guns and stuff. We will die in 100 years because we don't want to deal with being old. We don't want to be able to deal with being old and being people make fun of us. Seriously. The problem is that makes all science of universe destination back then fundamentally invalid. See, if a person assumes that the future does not matter, they're not going to tell the truth about it. The truth is, there is no reason to believe the Earth will get larger or smaller, or that the universe will get larger or smaller of its own self, simply because that nothing suggesting that force occurs while we in the area where we can see, and we don't know enough about astrophysics to predict anything with meaningful consequence, please. In the end, no quote unquote study resulting from atomic physics has actually been useful. Here's a problem. You cannot say that quantum physics is used to manufacture processors if you do not understand how those processors work and can't explain how quantum physics happens in those processors. That is true. It is true that there's a type of quantum physics that's involved in processor design. However, it is not Earth quantum physics. It's a different language of quantum physics, please. Human science does not have the understanding necessary to know how processors work, at least in the United States. I'll just say that. We don't have enough understanding to comprehend how anything with electrons thinks. I would simply say, if I should say that the goal of the universe is to contain more information than it did in the past. The way this is done is the universe is constantly decompressing. One example of this is to say that the universe is some type of zip file, and then when you decompress that, it happens to decompress to a bunch of smaller zip files, and then you compress each of those zip files. It just happens to, because it's formatted the correct way. Until, even got a problem there. There is obviously a correct way to run the universe and an incorrect way. The correct way obviously results in more zip files, the incorrect way doesn't. That is sufficient to say that the goal of the universe is to create more information. That is why intelligent songwriters write more songs. They don't bind the songs they already wrote with twine and destroy them. It's possible to coerce a person into not understanding this reality, especially if those songs are created by mechanics, but that is different. In general, songwriting is difficult work, and human songwriters, at a minimum, do not have a mission of destroying old music. I don't know where that crap came from. There is no reason to destroy old work, and if somebody's saying that the universe is going to contain too much information, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. The following, therefore, suggests the first type of artificial intelligence. It's a very simple algorithm that produces more information. This is intelligence because it accomplishes one of the goals of intelligence, which is to be more varied. I'm not going to describe lookup intelligence because lookup intelligence already exists. It's called Google. There will be no discussion of lookup intelligence until the greater intelligence community understands that Google search is intelligence and starts to speak wisely about what might happen during Google search. So long as people are saying that ChatGPT is AI and Google search isn't, I'm not going to talk about that. Maybe it'll make more sense after I keep talking about creation AI. There might be another problem here. Maybe people are afraid of talking about something called pointers. Well, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who are not afraid of talking about that, or what might actually power SQL search, or look into that code. Yeah. There's a lot of recommended reading. It generally looks like this. A quick analysis showing that there is a big falsehood that will quickly poison a lot of useful efforts. It's this one. There are a few creation scenarios which are very powerful and must be recognized as such. First, I'm going to describe a few of them. First is the imaginative storyboard written about computing and electronics. Yeah, so we probably need to start to control, please, conversation that speaks against, writing creative stuff. There's enough discussion on the value of everything created, please. And I'm not going to go into something which might be called focused creativity because that's not supposed to occur on Earth for another couple hundred years. Sorry. Okay, let's please ensure that we are agreeing with CNBC. Oh, please access CNBC sources to agree with CNBC. Yeah. Sony.